Hello, how are you doing? My name is Dwayne Paul, and I will be doing my lesson over closing remarks. Um, Pardon my comfortableness. It is a snow day for my district, and so I plan on enjoying this. Um, Hope you can take something away from this lesson in this video, and hopefully try to apply some things to your own classroom. Closing a lesson is one of the most important things that you can do. You can ruin a very good lesson by uh, having a bad closing statement. I compare it to a lawyer trying to argue a case with a bat. You can make or break a case with a closing statement. Same thing with a lesson. You can make or break a lesson with your closing remarks to it. If you just allow your kids to get up and to leave out without properly reviewing the things you did from the day or forecasting what you might lead into for tomorrow, the knowledge you talked about on that day might not sink in as much. Um, and that's one of the main things that they're more likely to remember the things that you went over. And so therefore you are connecting the material to prior lessons and foreshadowing for future lessons. So I will be covering a few of the things that went over in the book. They did go over pages 151 through 154. If you want to look on, I am not going to cover. They gave 19 possible things that you could do because we all teach different classes and we all are at different levels and different topics and subjects. I won't cover all of them, but I will cover some of my favorite ones and maybe some things that not only I can add to my class, but maybe some things that I have done within my class since you begin there. One of the first things they get in there is they talk about if you begin your class with the question, you can have them write down their answers in the beginning of class. At the end of the class, you ask that same question, and you just see how their answers have changed on the subject you have taught. It's more like a not quite compare and contrast, but you want to see how they think differently about the topic since you've discussed it. One of my favorite ones that they talked about in the book and that I've done in my class is to provide one or more sentences, okay, stemming on the transparency of what you learned. So, classic example, I've learned dot dot dot. I was surprised when I discovered today. I realized I'm puzzled about. I noticed when, etc. I recognize whenever, blah, blah, blah. I now appreciate, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple different things you can do. You don't have to use all of them. You can just use one or two to get your point across. But once again, you're just trying to get them to soak the knowledge into their mind. If you're like a history or social studies or really any topic, if you're teaching a controversial subject, you can have them do a pros and cons kind of list, a T chart, whatever you want to call it. You can have them write down both sides of the argument. So you could sit here and say, this is what it makes it a good argument. This is what makes it a bad argument. And it's not so much that you want to continue the confrontation, but you just want the knowledge to soak into their head. Okay. That's something I think that was a good idea. One of the things that I feel that you can, the book says that you end with a teaser or promo for the next day's lesson. Um, it's almost like when you're watching that favorite show and the season ends and they give you a little bit of the trailer of what's going to happen next season. That's what you're doing for that next, maybe if you're ending it in the week, you're ending that lesson heading into next week on a Friday, or if you have a long weekend, you kind of end it with something that gives them something to hold on to. And depending on your subject, depending on your grade level, depending on how corny, man, your promo might be. If you're working with high school kids where they're not really into all the theatrics, then it might not be the same if you're working with first graders and kindergartners. First grade and kindergartners are going to go home and tell mom and dad. High school kids might think you're just corny, but part of a lot of times if they're laughing at you, they're probably paying attention. Um, and then I like the idea that we talked about the other day in seminar, where we had the questions in the balled up piece of paper we had going on there, and then we passed around the answers, and you peel back a layer of the onion, and you read it, and you had to answer the question. Um, You could do that over the topic that you did. It takes a little bit more pre-work going into it, but I think it helps while you're actually doing it. Um, and those are some of the couple things that I feel that would be a good idea to do. If you want to know more, please go back and please read. It doesn't take long, all of maybe 5 minutes. Page 154, 151, excuse me, through 154, give some great ideas. But I just say, at the end of the day, I think you have to do the old saying. And teaching a lesson is like doing a presentation over someone that doesn't have any idea about your topic. And what I mean by that is you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then when you've told them, you tell them again. That's exactly how I approach it. I hope this has helped you. Everyone have a great day.